Before we begin, here is what this episode covers. On March 17, 2026, the Panevėžys Regional Prosecutor's Office in Lithuania sent a one-sentence response. Registration number IBPS-S 151169-26. Pretrial investigation number. The response reads, in full, we inform you that your proposal has been attached to the criminal case materials and forwarded for evaluation to the Pretrial Investigation Institution conducting the pretrial investigation. This was signed by Prosecutor Aurelijus Navickas of the Organized Crime and Corruption Investigation Division. Not general crimes, not cybercrime, organized crime. 5 countries were contacted. 30 congressional offices received letters. Lithuania is the only one that responded. This episode examines what that response means, what evidence supports Lithuanian jurisdiction, and what 8 calls to action are now activated. Since initial publication, an 18-search corpus validation battery confirmed both Lithuanian wire transfers in DOJ-released documents, upgrading 5 of 8 T3 claims to T2 with specific Bates numbers. Every financial claim in this episode now traces to a primary Deutsche Bank production document, EFTA 013-65100 for wire number 1, EFTA 01362207, and bank statement EFTA 012875550 for wire number 2. I will clearly distinguish what we have confirmed from what remains unverified. This is the letter in full. From the Panevėžys Regional Prosecutor's Office, Organized Crime and Corruption Investigation Division, Respublikos Street 54, Panevėžys, Lithuania. Registration number IBPS-S 151169-26. Pretrial investigation number, signed by Prosecutor Aurelijus Navickas with a qualified electronic signature, the Lithuanian government's digital authentication standard. The full text reads, we inform you that your proposal has been attached to the criminal case materials and forwarded for evaluation to the Pretrial Investigation Institution conducting the pretrial investigation. One sentence, 28 words in English. Every word matters, and I will break down exactly what each part means on the next slide. But first, note what this is: a formal government acknowledgement, digitally signed by a named prosecutor with a case number from the Organized Crime Division. This is not a form letter. This is not an auto-reply. This is a prosecutor confirming that citizens-submitted analytical materials are now part of an active criminal investigation. Let me break down exactly what that single sentence means procedurally. First, attached to the criminal case materials. This is not a filing cabinet. In Lithuanian pretrial procedure, materials attached to a criminal case become part of the evidentiary record. They can be cited in judicial motions, referenced in search warrant applications, and used to justify further investigative actions. Our corpus analysis, the wire transfers, the entity maps, the ownership graphs, is now inside an active criminal file. Second, the division. Organized crime and corruption, not general crimes, not cybercrime, not financial fraud. The Panevėžys Regional Prosecutor's Office assigned this case to the division that handles organized criminal groups. That classification tells us how Lithuania views the Epstein network. Third, forwarded for evaluation to the Pretrial Investigation Institution. Under Lithuanian law, prosecutors direct investigations, but the police conduct them. This means the prosecutor has ordered a law enforcement body, almost certainly the Panevėžys County Police Department, to evaluate our materials and determine what, if anything, is actionable. Fourth, a named prosecutor. Aurelijus Navickas. Not a department, not a title, not an office. A person with a direct email address and phone number. Future correspondence goes to someone who knows the case. Here is the full picture. On March 1st, 2026, outreach packages were sent to 4 countries: Poland, France, the United Kingdom, and Lithuania. Each received a tailored briefing with corpus-sourced evidence relevant to their jurisdiction. Poland, which established Investigation Team Number 5, 3 senior prosecutors targeting an organized criminal group of international nature, has not responded. France, which opened dual prosecutions into trafficking and financial crimes, has not responded. The United Kingdom, which arrested Andrew Mountbatten Windsor and Lord Mandelson and deployed 6 police forces, has not responded. Separately, 30 United States congressional offices received individually addressed letters with analytical enclosures. These included the chairs of the Judiciary and Oversight Committees, the primary sponsors of H.R. 4405, and 22 additional co-sponsors. 0 responses. Lithuania, the smallest economy, the thinnest financial thread, the country with the least public attention in the Epstein story, is the only entity that responded. The Panevėžys Regional Prosecutor's Office, population 88,000, Organized Crime and Corruption Division. 16 days from receipt to acknowledgement, 1 case number, 1 prosecutor's name. 40+ recipients, 1 response. Since publishing this episode, we ran every available corpus search for Lithuanian connections. The results fundamentally changed the evidence picture. 15 primary documents, 6 Bates numbers, 2 confirmed wire transfers with IBAN numbers, SWIFT codes, and a bank statement exchange rate to the 8th decimal. The $3 million will bequest is T1, a primary government document from the House Oversight Estate Records, cross-referenced against EFTA 01266-204 in the DOJ corpus. Both wire transfers are now T2, confirmed in Deutsche Bank production documents. EFTA 01365-100 for wire 1, EFTA 01362207, and bank statement EFTA 01287-550 for wire 2. Valdas Petreikis headed both receiving entities, confirmed through his own Skype messages and emails. Bella Klein appears on the authorization chain for both wires. The Modilinos Model Agency in Kaunas and Vilnius is an entirely separate Lithuanian connection found in House Oversight emails. And LSJE LLC, another Epstein entity, sent €892 to Seb Banka in April 2019. Every document on this table carries a Deutsche Bank or House Oversight production marking. Every claim has a Bates number. The next slide shows what remains unverified. 3 claims remain unverified. LRT reported dozens of bank transfers since 2008. We found 2. That does not mean dozens do not exist. The Deutsche Bank records in our corpus cover 2013 to 2018, and 42% of the DOJ identified pages remain unreleased, but we have not confirmed dozens. LRT reported $28,000 to Balletto Teatras. The Deutsche Bank statement, document EFTA 012875550, production marking DB-SDNY-0007170, shows €15,000 at exchange rate 1.236185562. That is $18,542.78, a $9,457 discrepancy. We present both numbers. LRT reported multiple Lithuanian models and arts figures named in correspondence. The Skype logs confirm 3 talents: a singer, a pianist, and a ballerina, but LRT did not publish the specific names. 3 T3 claims remain out of 8 original, 5 upgraded to T2, 1 contradicted. That is the evidence picture, complete and disclosed. The one solid T1 anchor for the Lithuanian connection. Epstein's last will and testament, formerly the 1953 trust, was signed on August 8, 2019, 2 days before his death. The full 29-page document is in our corpus at EFTA 01266204, production marking SDNY_GM_00007748. It restates the Jeffrey E. Epstein 2019 trust, dated January 18, 2019, amended February 4, 2019. Grantor, Jeffrey E. Epstein, residing at Little St. James Island, St. Thomas, USVI. Trustees, Darren K. Indike and Richard D. Kahn. Among 43 numbered bequests, number 18 reads, quote, "To Simona Petreike, if she survives me, $3 million, $3 million," end quote. For context on the scale, the quest number 1 is $50 million plus a $50 million annuity to Karina Shuliak. Number 2, $50 million to Darren Indike. Number 3, $25 million to Richard Kahn. Number 16, $10 million to Ghislaine Maxwell. Number 12, Bella Klein, the same Bella Klein listed as wire contact on both Lithuanian transfers. And number 18, $3 million to Simona Petreike. $3 million is more than the total wire transfers to all Lithuanian entities combined. The euro 75,000 to Force Projecti and the euro 15,000 confirmed at $18,542.78 total roughly $97,500. Petreike's bequest is 30 times larger. The family has publicly stated that the bequest was refused, but a stated refusal and a formal probate disclaimer are different legal instruments. Whether the refusal was formalized through USVI probate proceedings is one of the calls to action now available to Lithuanian prosecutors. A $3 million bequest to a Lithuanian cultural figure, signed 2 days before death, in a trust document that also names Bella Klein, the contact person on the Euro 75K wire instruction. That intersection is documented, not inferred. Before we examine each wire in detail, here is the full picture. 4 financial connections between the Epstein network and Lithuania, all flowing through the same infrastructure. Wire 1, 75,000 euros from the J. Epstein Virgin Islands Foundation to UAB Force Projecti, January 2017. Wire 2, 15,000 euros from Gratitude America to NPO Balletto Teatras, April 2018. A third transfer, 892 euros from LSJE LLC to SEB Banca, April 2019. And the will bequest, $3 million to Simona Petreike, signed August 8, 2019, 2 days before death. All 4 pass through the same infrastructure: Deutsche Bank on the US side, SEB Bank Vilnius on the Lithuanian side, HBRK Associates, Indike and Kahn's law firm, as the address of record, Darren Indike as authorizer, Bella Klein as contact person. The next 4 slides examine each component of this flow in detail. Valdis Petreikis is the nexus. He heads both Lithuanian entities that received Epstein wire transfers. UAB Force Projecti, the event company at forceevent.com, received 75,000 euros. NPO Balletto Teatras, the ballet theater nonprofit, received 15,000 euros. Same man, both organizations. He communicated with Epstein directly via Skype. Handle Waldorado to Epstein's G Vacation. 2 conversation logs spanning January 2017 through May 2019, totaling 10 pages of primary source material across 10 documents. He visited Epstein in Paris during the Yellow Vest protests. He sent banking details directly via email forwarded by Richard Kahn at HBRK Associates. He managed a cultural talent pipeline, reporting on a singer, a pianist, and a ballerina to Epstein over several months. Our entity database contains 403 mentions of Valdis Petreikis, but the English-trained NER model misclassified the name as an organization, not a person. A Lithuanian name parsed by English-language tools. And then there is Simona Petreike. Same surname. $3 million bequest in the will. The relationship is inferred from the shared surname and context, not confirmed by any document in the corpus. The next 3 slides examine the financial transactions this network facilitated. Wire 1. Document EFTA 01365100. Production marking DB-SDNY-0055740. SDNY Grand Jury Marking SDNY_GM_00201924. A memorandum from J. Epstein Virgin Islands Foundation Incorporated, from Darren Indike, addressed to Vahe. Value date January 20th, 2017. Quote, please wire 75,000 euros from the above account to SEB Bank, Vilnius, Lithuania. Beneficiary UAB Force Projecti, Teatro Street 9B-19, Vilnius, Lithuania. End quote. 3 copies exist in dataset 10, EFTA 01365100, EFTA 01365793, which adds Swift code CBVILT2X and IBAN LT1070440600 07808515 and EFTA 01409890. The instruction closes. Please call Bella Klein if you have any questions. The Gratitude America bank statement for that month, document EFTA 01286616, shows a beginning balance of $1,487,810.70 and a $200,000 outgoing transfer on January 20th, the same date. The EOR 75K at January 2017 rates was approximately $79,000 embedded within that larger movement. This wire was triggered by a Skype conversation 12 days earlier. That conversation is on the next slide's foundation, but the causal chain is company name requested January 8th, wire instruction issued January 20th. Wire 2. Document EFTA 01362207. Production marking DB-SDNY-0051543. SDNY grand jury marking SDNY_GM_00197727. A Deutsche Bank authorization for asset movement signed by Darren Indyke on April 2, 2018. Account Gratitude America Limited, number 44133251. Years 15,000 euros to NPO Balletto Teatras. IBAN LT 347044060007705166. Swift CBVILT2 via SEB Bank Vilnius. A second authorization form exists at EFTA 01362225. The banking details came from Petreike himself. Document EFTA 01362001, marking SDNY_GM_00197482. Valdis writes at 7:38 a.m. with NPO Balletto Teatras, company code 302-629386, M. Dauxus Street, 3-4, Vilnius, SEB Bank. IBAN LT 347044060077705166. Forwarded by Richard Kahn at HBRK Associates, 575 Lexington Avenue, April 2, 2018. The bank statement, document EFTA 01287550, marking DB-SDNY-0007170 and SDNY_GM_00044346, confirms execution. Outgoing FX transfer to SEB Bank, NPO Balletto TE, Euros 15,000, rate 1.23618562, $18,542.78, debited from a beginning balance of $341,387.46. $2.42. Account contact, Stuart Oldfield. That number matters. LRT reported $28,000. The Deutsche Bank statement shows $18,542.78, a $9,457 discrepancy. We present both numbers and let the document speak. LRT also reported Gratitude America as the source of both Lithuanian wires, correct for Wire 2 only. Wire 1 came from J. Epstein Virgin Islands Foundation, a legally distinct entity. 2 corrections to the public record, both documented. How were these wires authorized? The documents show the full chain. Wire 1. Petreike provides the company name via Skype on January 8, 2017. 12 days later, Darren Indike writes a memorandum to Vahe at Deutsche Bank. Wire €75,000 to SEB Bank, Vilnius, beneficiary UAB Fors Projecti. The instruction closes. Please call Bella Klein if you have any questions. Wire 2. The chain is more detailed because the email correspondence survived. April 2, 2018, 7:38 a.m. Petreike emails banking details for NPO Balletto Theatras, company code, street address, IBAN. Richard Kahn at HBRK Associates, 575 Lexington Avenue, forwards the email at 12:24 p.m. At 1:23 p.m., Bradley Gillen, a Deutsche Bank vice president, emails Kahn, CC Bella Klein. Subject: RE Gratitude Wire €15,000. Quote, Richard, please have Darren execute. I am having trouble locating paperwork showing you as a signer. End quote. Indike signs the Deutsche Bank authorization for asset movement. The bank executes the next day. 2 names appear on both chains. Darren Indike, who authored the Wire 1 memo and signed the Wire 2 authorization, and Bella Klein, named as the contact on Wire 1 and CC'd on the Wire 2 email. And there is a grand jury marking. Document EFTA 01362063. Production marking SDNY_GM_00197546. A duplicate of the Petreike banking email is stamped confidential, pursuant to Federal R-Crim P6E. Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 6E governs grand jury secrecy. This document was produced to the SDNY grand jury and is now publicly released under PL 119-38. The first Skype conversation. Documents EFTA 01623397 through EFTA 01623399. 3 pages. January 5th, 2017. The conversation opens. January 7. Petreike writes, Jeffrey, we were putting Jacob to sleep, and it is late in Lithuania. Is it possible for you tomorrow? A domestic detail, a child's name, a time zone that places Petreike in Lithuania. January 8th. Epstein asks, company name? 2 words. Petreike replies, forsevent.com, UAB Force Projecti. Epstein, thanks. 12 days later, on January 20th, 2017, the wire instruction was issued. Document EFTA 01365100, €75,000 to UAB Force Projecti, Teatro Street 9B, 19, Vilnius, Lithuania, SEB Bank, authorized by Darren and Dyke. This is the causal chain in 3 Skype messages and 1 bank document. Company name requested, company name provided, wire issued. There is no ambiguity about the connection between the conversation and the transfer. The company name in the Skype message is the exact beneficiary on the wire instruction. The second conversation, 7 pages, January through May 2019. In January, Petreike visits Epstein in Paris during the Yellow Vest protests. Epstein writes, "We need to check if you can get near my house. I live at the Arc de Triomphe." A meeting confirmed. In March, Petreike writes, "I have one ballet dancer. She would use some support." Then, "Do you think I could use previously transferred funds?" Epstein replies, "Yes." Previously transferred funds. That is a direct reference back to the 75,000 euros sent to UAB Force Projecti in January 2017, the wire we confirmed in EFTA 01365100. Petreike is asking permission to redirect funds already transferred. In April and May, Petreike reports on 3 Lithuanian talents. A singer. "I believe this singer has potential. In general, Lithuanians doing great in international operas." A pianist. "Doing very well, going for workshops." And a ballerina, starting to get some medical treatments. Then, May 18th, 2019, Epstein writes, "Find me a new assistant, 2114, talented, wants to travel and learn." Petreike replies, "For Paris or New York?" Epstein, "Either or both." 2114, an age range, talented, wants to travel and learn. For Paris or New York? From a man who had already been convicted in 2008 of soliciting prostitution from a minor and who would be arrested again in 49 days on federal sex trafficking charges. 2 months after this message, on July 6, 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested at Teterboro Airport. Document EFTA 01616010. Bates number. Primary source. In the corpus. One more finding, and it is entirely separate from the Petreike chain. Document House Oversight 0099 over from the House Oversight Committee, Records. The DOJ Deutsche Bank production. An email from Jolanta Sadowskini, owner of Modelinos Model Agency, offices at Parados 7-4 in Kaunas and Svebril Stepano 7 in Vilnius. Phone number plus 370 37 323 257. A Lithuanian modeling agency in the Epstein correspondence, not connected to Petreike, not connected to Force Projecti or Balletto Teatras, an entirely separate thread. And the corpus shows the Lithuanian footprint is broader than the Petreike network. 14,462 entity mentions of Lithuania, 9,325 mentions of Vilnius. 130 documents mention Kaunas, Lithuania's second largest city, where Modelinos has its office. There is also LSJE LLC, document EFTA 01288374, a bank statement from April 2019 showing LSJE LLC sent €892 to SEB Banka. a different Epstein entity using the same Baltic SEB banking infrastructure as the Force Projecti and Baleto Teatras wires. 3 separate Lithuanian connections: Petreikis and his 2 entities, Sadauskini and Modelinos, LSJE LLC, and SEB Banka. The Lithuanian footprint in the Epstein corpus is wider than one person. The Butterfly Trust is the mechanism that matters. Opened January 24, 2014 at Deutsche Bank, account number 441-30552, care of HBRK Associates, 575 Lexington Avenue, 4th floor, New York. Co-trustees Darren Indike and Richard Kahn. 120 plus outbound wire transfers, $2.65 million disbursed. To women with, and this is the NYDFS consent orders language, Eastern European surnames. For stated purposes including tuition, rent, hotel expenses, and immigration costs. At least 18 wires of $10,000 or more went to individuals designated as co-conspirators, CC1, CC2, CC3, 2 of whom invoked the Fifth Amendment, 1 of whom allegedly recruited underage victims. The corpus contains 6,364 pages across 1,972 distinct PDFs mentioning Butterfly Trust. But only one Butterfly Trust wire exists in the parsed wire transfers table, document EFTA 01371900, a $150,000 SWIFT MT-103 dated February 5, 2019, which failed format validation and was canceled. The email from DBOI Global Services in Jaipur to Don Delcher and Catherine Stanfield documents that failure. Here's the question that connects the Butterfly Trust to Lithuania. Do the 75,000 euros to Force Projecti confirmed in EFTA 01365100 and the 15,000 euros to Baleto Teatras confirmed in EFTA 01362207 appear among those 120 plus wires? We don't know. The public NYDFS consent order redacts recipient names. But consider, the Lithuanian Wire 2 originated from Gratitude America Limited, account 441-33251 at Deutsche Bank, care of HBRK Associates, the same address as the Butterfly Trust, same bank, same law firm address, same co-trustees, different account number. The unredacted consent order exists. NYDFS has it, and it is obtainable through a mutual legal assistance treaty request. Lithuanian prosecutors can file through the Prosecutor General's office. If the Lithuanian transfers appear on the Butterfly Trust wire list, or if Butterfly Trust account 441-30552 sent any wires to SEB Bank, SWIFT CBVILT2X, the case changes fundamentally. Lithuanian cultural entities received money from the same infrastructure that paid co-conspirators in a sex trafficking operation. 25 plus searches across every available database. The full text corpus, 2.1 million documents, returned 52 plus hits for Lithuanian terms. Force Projecti, 5 documents. Baleto Teatras, 4. Petreike, 32. Lithuania, 5,905. Kaunas, 130. Every wire instruction, every bank statement, every Skype conversation, found. The wire transfer table, 224 parsed transactions, returned 0. Not because the wires don't exist, but because they exist as scanned Deutsche Bank memoranda, not as structured data. The parsing gap. The documents with IBAN numbers, SWIFT codes, and exchange rates to the 8th decimal were sitting in dataset 10 the entire time. They carry grand jury production markings. They were never extracted into the structured table. 5 of 8 T3 claims upgraded to T2. 1 LRT amount contradicted. 1 new lead, Modilinos. All results exported as CSVs with Bates numbers. The email corpus is the highest probability location for Lithuanian evidence, and we found some. 863,000 email PDFs across datasets 9 and 11. The date range extends to at least April and May 2017, overlapping directly with the Lithuanian wire transfer period. We searched. Document EFTA 01362000 is an email from Bradley Gillen, a Deutsche Bank vice president, to Richard Kahn, CC Bella Klein. Subject, RE Gratitude Wire, €15,000. Date, April 2nd, 2018, 1:23 p.m. Gillen writes, Richard, please have Darren execute. I am having trouble locating paperwork showing you as a signer. This is the internal Deutsche Bank authorization chain for wire number 2 to Balletto Teatras. Document EFTA 01362001 is the email Petreike sent with banking details for NPO Balletto Teatras. Company code 302-629-386. M. Doxos Street, 3-4, Vilnius. SEB Bank. IBAN LT 34704-0600-077-05166. General Manager Valdas Petreikis. Forwarded by Richard Kahn at HBRK Associates, 575 Lexington Avenue, 4th floor, New York. April 2nd, 2018 at 12:24 p.m. Production marking SDNY_GM_00197482. Document EFTA 01362063 is a duplicate of that email with a critical additional marking. Confidential, pursuant to Federal Right Crim P6E. This is grand jury material. And in the House Oversight emails, document House Oversight _011908 contains an email from Jolanta Sadauskine, owner of Modilinos Model Agency, offices in Kaunas at Pardos 7-4 and Vilnius at Svebel Stepano 7, a Lithuanian modeling agency in the Epstein corpus, entirely separate from the Petreikis chain. What we did not find, 0.lt email domain addresses anywhere in the corpus, 0 mentions of Panevėžys or Klaipėda. The NER model extracted Valdas Petreikis 403 times, but classified it as an organization, not a person. If prosecutors provide additional Lithuanian names, we can run targeted searches immediately. The production markings on these documents matter. Every Lithuanian wire document carries at least one institutional stamp, DB SDNY. Deutsche Bank produced these documents to the Southern District of New York. SDNY_GM. These were part of the Ghislaine Maxwell grand jury investigation. And on document EFTA 01362063, the duplicate of the Petreikis banking email, a third marking, confidential, pursuant to Federal Crim. .6e. Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 6e governs grand jury secrecy. Material produced under 6e was originally sealed, available only to the grand jury, the attorneys, and the court. These documents were unsealed and publicly released under Public Law 119-38, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, signed November 19, 2025. For Lithuanian prosecutors, this distinction is critical. What we are providing is not second-hand analysis, not journalism, not interpretation. These are documents that Deutsche Bank produced to a federal grand jury investigating sex trafficking and conspiracy. The wire instructions, the bank statements, the email chains, all carry the institutional provenance of a U.S. federal criminal investigation. When Prosecutor Navickas evaluates these materials, he is evaluating evidence from a U.S. federal grand jury production, publicly released under U.S. federal law, with Bates numbers that trace every page to its source. What changed on March 17th? Before, we had an unconfirmed email address. We did not know if Panevėžys at prokuraturos.lt was monitored or if our message would be read. After, confirmed working. The response came from that address. Before, no case number. After, a trackable identifier in the Lithuanian criminal justice system. Before, unknown division. After, organized crime and corruption, not general crimes, organized crime. Before, no named contact. After, Prosecutor Aurelijus Navickas with a direct email and phone number. Before, materials sent, delivery unknown. After, attached to the criminal case file and forwarded for evaluation. Now, what else changed? Since initial publication, the 18-search corpus validation battery transformed the evidence picture. Both wire transfers are now confirmed T2 with Bates numbers, EFTA 013-65100 for the Euro 75K to Force Projekti, EFTA 013-62207, and bank statement EFTA 01287550 for the Euro 15K to Balletto Teatras. 5 of 8 T3 claims upgraded to T2. The Petreikis connection is confirmed through 2 Skype conversation logs totaling 10 pages of primary source material. And LRT's reported $28,000 is contradicted by the Deutsche Bank statement showing $18,542.78. What did not change? 3 T3 claims remain unverified. Dozens of transfers since 2008. The specific names of Lithuanian models and arts figures, and the family's claim that the bequest was refused. The wire transfers table still has 0 Lithuanian entries because the wires exist as scanned instruction memos, not parsed structured data. and the thinnest financial thread is still the thinnest financial thread. But a thin thread with 15 primary documents, Bates numbers, and an active criminal investigation is categorically different from a thin thread sourced only from journalism. 8 calls to action, organized by timeline. 3 are immediate. They can begin today. First, provide us with Lithuanian entity names. This is zero cost. The prosecutors have names from their investigation. We have a 2.38 million entity database and a full-text search index. Give us the names and we will find every mention. Second, FNTT, the Financial Crime Investigation Service, can pull the incoming wire records for Force Projecti and Baleto Teatras from Lithuanian banks. Those records will show the originating U.S. entity. Was it Gratitude America, Southern Trust, the Butterfly Trust? That answer determines whether the Lithuanian transfers connect to the co-conspirator payment infrastructure. Third, run the 53 Epstein corporate entities through the Lithuanian Corporate Registry, Registru Centras. Any registration creates domestic jurisdiction. 3 require MLAT requests, 30-day timeline. The unredacted NYDFS consent order, the unredacted Butterfly Trust beneficiary list, and the Epstein will from USVI probate court. These are the documents that would confirm or deny the Lithuanian financial connection definitively. At 60 days, the email corpus cross-reference once entity names are provided. And coordination, a Eurojust joint investigation team with Poland, both EU member states, both investigating organized crime connected to the Epstein network. The Butterfly Trust payments to women with Eastern European surnames cross the Baltic region. The coordination mechanism exists. It should be activated. This is not a one-way data dump. We have the US side, wire transfers, entity databases, corporate ownership maps, the full text corpus. They have the Lithuanian side, entity names, bank account numbers, IBAN and SWIFT codes, dates, amounts, and, critically, the identities of Lithuanian individuals connected to the investigation. Neither side can complete the picture alone. We cannot search for Lithuanian entities if we do not know their names. They cannot trace the U.S. financial infrastructure if they do not have our parsed wire data and ownership graphs. What we offer: a complete Lithuanian evidence package, 15 primary documents with Deutsche Bank production markings, EFTA 0136510 for Wire 1, EFTA 01362-207, and bank statement EFTA 01287-550 for Wire 2. Email chain EFTA 01362-000 with Bradley Gillen and Bella Klein. Banking details email EFTA 01362-001 with SDNY grand jury marking. Skype logs EFTA 01623397 through 01623399 and EFTA 01616004 through 01616010, and the 1953 trust at EFTA 01266-204, plus the Modilinos Model Agency Lead from House Oversight _019/019. Document carries DB SDNY and SDNY GM production markings. CSV exports of all search results. Custom searches for any additional terms they provide. 25 have already been executed. What we need: the precise entity names from their investigation, the exact Lithuanian spellings, bank account numbers for Force Projecti and Baleto Teatras to cross-reference against the IBANs we have, the dates and amounts they have from FNTT records, particularly any transfers before 2013, which would predate the Deutsche Bank records in our corpus. Every match comes with a Bates number that their prosecutors can cite in judicial proceedings. Every non-match tells them the transfer may be in the unreleased 42% or processed through a non-Deutsche Bank channel. The grand jury markings on these documents: confidential, pursuant to Federal R. Crim. P. 6E, confirm these are the same materials Deutsche Bank produced to the SDNY grand jury. Lithuania and Poland are both investigating the Epstein network. Both are EU member states. Both opened investigations in February 2026, and neither country's investigation captures the full geographic scope of the Eastern European connection. Poland's investigation team number 5 targets an organized criminal group active from 2005 to 2018, focusing on trafficking and possible Russian intelligence links. Lithuania's investigation focuses on human trafficking through cultural recruitment channels. The Butterfly Trust, the trust that paid $2.65 million to women with Eastern European surnames, does not respect borders. A payment to a Lithuanian cultural entity and a payment involving Polish recruitment networks may be part of the same financial operation. The coordination mechanism exists: a Eurojust joint investigation team under the 2002 Framework Decision. Both countries are EU members. The European Judicial Network facilitates cross-border cooperation. Lithuania, as the first country to formally acknowledge our materials, is in a position to initiate this coordination. I note that Poland has not responded to our outreach, but the existence of investigation team number 5 is public. Lithuanian prosecutors can coordinate directly through Eurojust without waiting for Poland to respond to us. Every episode in this series publishes its evidence tier breakdown. When EP15 was first published, it was the most T3 heavy episode in the series at roughly 17%. That has changed. The 18 search corpus validation battery executed on March 18, 2026, confirmed both Lithuanian wire transfers in Deutsche Bank production documents. 5 T3 claims upgraded to T2 with specific Bates numbers: EFTA 01365 100 for wire 1, EFTA 01362 207, and bank statement EFTA 01287 550 for wire 2, Skype documents EFTA 0162 3397 and EFTA 01616 004 through 010 for the Petreikis connection. One LRT amount was contradicted: $28,000 reported versus $18,542.78 confirmed at exchange rate 1.23618562. 9 new T2 claims were added from search results, including the Modelinos Model Agency in document house_site_011908 and the Wire2 email chain in EFTA 01362-000. The updated tier breakdown. T1 at 22%, the response document, the will, the NYDFS consent order. T2 at 67%, the dominant tier, now backed by 15 primary Deutsche Bank and House oversight documents. T3 at 4%, 3 remaining unverified claims, dozens of transfers since 2008, Lithuanian model names, LRT, did not publish, and the family's stated bequest refusal. T4 at 7%, legal procedure claims. Compare this to Episode 8 at 72% T1 and 7% T3, or Episode 7 at 47% T1 and 10% T3. EP15's T3 ratio at 4% is now below every other episode in the series. We show both the original and updated counts because the methodology requires it. The original was honest about its T3 reliance. The update is honest about what the corpus search found. Both disclosures serve the same purpose. You know exactly what we know and where it comes from. 3 questions, each one answerable. Each one has a path. Question 1. Do the Lithuanian wires appear among the 120 plus Butterfly Trust payments? The Butterfly Trust sent $2.65 million to women with Eastern European surnames. The Lithuanian wire 2 originated from Gratitude America, account 441-33251, care of HBRK Associates, 575 Lexington Avenue, the same address as Butterfly Trust account 441-30552 at the same bank. The unredacted NYDFS consent order would answer this. It is obtainable through an MLAT request. Question 2. Who is Jolanta Sadowskiena and what is Modelinos? Document House Oversight 01901900W. Document House Oversight 001900 is in the corpus right now. A Lithuanian modeling agency with offices in Kaunas and Vilnius in the Epstein correspondence with no connection to the Petreikis chain. The Lithuanian Business Registry can identify this entity. The 863,000 email corpus can be searched for Sadowskiena's name immediately. Question 3. Find me a new assistant, 2114, talented, wants to travel and learn. Document EFTA 01616010, May 18, 2019, 49 days before arrest. From a man convicted in 2008 of soliciting prostitution from a minor, directed to a Lithuanian cultural talent recruiter who managed a pipeline of singers, pianists, and dancers. For Paris or New York, either or both. Every question has a document. Every document has a Bates number. Every Bates number traces to a Deutsche Bank or House Oversight production. The questions are not rhetorical. They are investigative, and they are now in the hands of the Organized Crime and Corruption Investigation Division of the Panevėžys Regional Prosecutor's Office. 42%. The Department of Justice has identified 6 million plus responsive pages. Approximately 3.5 million have been released. That leaves 2.5 million pages, 42%, unreleased. Public Law 119-38, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, passed 427-1 in the House and by unanimous consent in the Senate. It mandates release. the DOJ has not complied. For Lithuania specifically, the 42% gap is not abstract. The wire transfers to Force Projecti and Balletto Teatras have not been found in the released corpus. They may be in the unreleased portion. LRT reports dozens of bank transfers since 2008. The earliest of those may predate the Deutsche Bank records in our corpus, which cover 2013 to 2018. Email correspondence with Lithuanian contacts may be among withheld pages. Lithuanian prosecutors, through the Prosecutor General's office, can add their voice to the demand for full release. A foreign criminal investigation citing specific evidence gaps created by U.S. government non-compliance with U.S. law is a powerful argument, both diplomatically and legally. The law is clear. The compliance is not. I want to be clear about what this represents. A computational pipeline processed 2,100,266 documents. Entity extraction identified 2,383,898 persons, organizations, and locations. Wire transfer parsing mapped 224 transactions, totaling $24.1 million. Network analysis detected 125,620 communities and 535,318 brokers. Jurisdiction-specific evidence was identified. For Lithuania, 15 primary documents with Deutsche Bank production markings, 2 confirmed wire transfers with Bates numbers EFTA 01365100 and EFTA 01362207, 2 Skype conversation logs totaling 10 pages, a bank statement with an exchange rate to the 8th decimal, and a $3 million will bequest. Those materials were submitted on March 1st. 16 days later, Prosecutor Aurelijus Navickas of the Organized Crime and Corruption Investigation Division, Panevėžys Regional Prosecutor's Office, acknowledged receipt, attached the materials to case number, and directed evaluation by a pre-trial investigation institution. That is not dramatic. It is the system working the way it is supposed to work. A citizen performs analysis on publicly released government documents under PL 119-38. That analysis is submitted to relevant authorities with every Bates number, every production marking, every evidence tier disclosed. The authorities evaluate through existing legal processes. The smallest country contacted, 90,000 euros against a $606.9 million network. And the first response. Lithuania did not promise an outcome. They did not confirm our findings. They received materials, attached them to a case file, and directed evaluation. That is exactly the correct procedural response, and it is more than any other contacted entity has done. We got things wrong about Eastern Europe before. Observation 5. We reported Poland appearing on a Deutsche Bank KYC form. It was an OCR hallucination. The optical character recognition engine misread the blank form label Persons Non as Poland. Observation 6. We reported AA Resource Krakow as a financial entity. It was another hallucination. Resource Management Account, a header repeated across 190 pages of Ghislaine Maxwell's UBS statements, was mangled into Krakow. both retracted, both disclosed, both preserved in observations.md as methodological lessons. This matters for Lithuania because the same OCR vulnerabilities apply. If our entity search finds Lithuania or Vilnius or Petreike in the database, the first step is always to verify against the source PDF. Our NER model is trained on English text. Lithuanian names, which use diacritics that English does not, will be extracted with lower accuracy, and a negative search result does not mean the name is absent from the corpus. It may mean the OCR or NER missed it. Blog 9.4 called Lithuania the thinnest thread. I wrote that on March 10th. When this episode was first published, the financial connections were T3, sourced from LRT journalism. Since then, the 18-search corpus validation battery found every wire instruction in the corpus. Both wires, T2. The Petreikis connection, T2. The Skype conversations, T2. 15 primary documents with Deutsche Bank and House Oversight production markings, plus a new lead, Modilinos Model Agency in Kaunas and Vilnius, document House Site 011908, entirely separate from the Petreikis chain. The thread is still thin, 90,000 euros against $606.9 million through Southern Financial, but it now has Bates numbers, IBAN numbers, a bank statement with an exchange rate to the 8th decimal, 2 Skype conversation logs totaling 10 pages, a Deutsche Bank VP email chain, a named wire contact who also appears in the will, and an active criminal investigation with case number and a named prosecutor. A documented thin thread is categorically different from a reported thin thread. That is the difference between T3 and T2, and that is what transparent science looks like.